On my way back, I kept thinking about how to comfort Bashu and arrange to send her home. Even though I hadn't slept all night, I felt no tiredness, just urgency, telling the driver to hurry. Before long, I reached the Yi Mansion's gate. As I stepped out, something felt wrong. I had never seen such panic on people's faces. Servants and drivers walked around without purpose. The red lanterns for the wedding still hung at the gate, but in this atmosphere, they showed no happy celebration. I froze, paid the driver, and stepped down. No one noticed me. I grabbed Old Hang by the collar. "What's going on?" He stared at me, mouth open, his tongue trembling, unable to make a sound. I asked several others. They reacted the same way. I pushed past them, rushing inside. The first Yi family member I saw was fourth aunt, walking quickly back and forth, holding her head. Her spinning looked almost funny, but I couldn't laugh. I called out, "Fourth aunt." She froze, stopped spinning, and looked up. Seeing me, she grabbed my arms so tightly it hurt. As if expecting the worst, I blurted, "What's wrong with Jockey? What happened to him?" Her body shook. Struggling, she choked out, He's dead." I pulled free and ran to Jockey's wedding room. My state must have been as wild as anyone else's. I can't even remember how I ran that distance, only that I stumbled more than once. At the room's door, I saw Old Man Yi, the god of wealth, standing there. He was a very big man, but now he looked deflated, like a balloon losing air. His fat face sagged horribly, as if it might slide off. Ignoring that he was my elder, I pushed him aside roughly. He was blocking the door and kicked it open. The room was empty except for a figure on the bed, completely covered by a blanket. I crossed to the bed into steps and pulled the blanket off. It was Jiaki. No one could doubt he was dead. Even years later, among all the dead bodies I've seen, he remains the most terrifying, the most heartbreaking. His eyes bulged horribly. Blood came out of his body openings. His face was a sickly purple, like someone poisoned by carbon monoxide. His body was curled tightly. The sight made me stumble back, hitting Old Man Yi, who had fallen to the floor. When I looked down at him, I realized he was dead too. Father and son, both dead in a single day. Doctors said Old Man Yi's death was from a brain hemorrhage, but Jockey's cause of death? They couldn't say. With Old Man Yi and Jockey gone, fourth aunt and the old madam were lost. Jiamin was too young, and the bride had returned to her family. The heavy job of organizing the funerals fell on me. I first convinced the old madam to allow an examination of Jockey's body. Describing the chaos of those days is useless now. The examination was done after Old Man Yi's burial. I was in the room, joined by top doctors and crime scene experts. The procedure lasted 6 hours. When the 7 or 8 experts, sweating a lot, removed their masks and left the operating room, their faces had a strange, unbelievable expression. In the meeting room, no one spoke. I demanded, "What's the decision? Did you find anything? How did he die? What's the cause? Why aren't you saying anything?" My tone was rude, but several of these experts were my father's friends, and the rest were their trusted colleagues. Their silence was maddening, so I thought they would forgive my outburst. Finally, someone spoke. It was a red-haired German doctor, his voice strangely calm. "No doubt about it, he died of a severe heart condition and very bad blockage of the heart arteries. Natural causes." I nearly jumped out of my skin. Before I could protest, the German doctor spoke, answering exactly what I was about to question. "We looked at all his past health records." I shouted, "He was perfectly healthy, strong as an ox." The doctor nodded. "You're right. Given the damage to his heart, he would have needed a heart condition for at least 10 years. But that's not the case." Another expert added, "His heart was fine. The damage seems to have happened overnight. How could a healthy man become so sick in one night? Why?" I demanded. "What caused it?" The expert gave me an apologetic look. "I'm sorry, young man. We can only say we don't know. We don't know why. Medical science isn't advanced enough. We don't know." That was the only answer from the autopsy. Jockey's cause of death was confirmed, but why it happened. Over a dozen experts could only say, "We don't know." I wanted to scream that I knew why he died because of goo, but my lips only twitched. I didn't say a word. It was too absurd. Even if I spoke, who would believe me? I left the meeting room in silence. Don't think I forgot Bashu. Within an hour of the chaos, I sent Jayamin to find her, but Jayamin returned saying Bashu was gone. She must have left right after I did. I went to look for her myself, but found nothing. With the funeral arrangements taking all my time, I couldn't search further. But as I left the meeting room, I made up my mind. I had to find Bashu. Jockey died by her hand. She was so beautiful, yet a beautiful murderer. Legally, I had no case against her. She was with me that night, and Jockey's cause of death was confirmed. No judge or jury would believe in goo. Still, I had to find her. I didn't think Jockey's leaving Bashu was right, but he didn't deserve death. His death hurt so many. Old man Yi even died of a brain hemorrhage from the shock. I was determined to discover the secret of goo to stop it from harming others. Back at the Yi mansion, I told the old madam and fourth aunt the autopsy results, adding some lies. I said Jockey had an unknown heart condition, and the excitement of the wedding made it worse. My words didn't lessen their sadness. I left, deciding to visit Miss Wang, Jockey's almost bride. Now just Miss Wang. I needed to see her because she was with Jockey that night and the first to find him dead. I had to know what happened before he died. My visit clearly embarrassed the Wang family, understandably so. They were an important family, and their daughter's groom died the night of the wedding. What was her status now? They must have discussed whether to let Miss Wang see me, because I waited a long time in their fancy living room. Finally, a man whose role I didn't know politely invited me in. I waited a bit longer in a refined study, clearly a woman's, before Miss Wang entered. She was a classic Suzhou beauty, very fair-skinned, but now her face was terribly pale. I stood. "Miss Wang, please forgive me for bothering you." Her voice was low. "Please sit." I sat, and she took the chair across from me, trying to keep a polite smile on her pale face but failing. She turned her head slightly. "You're Jockey's good friend. He mentioned you several times." I wondered how to start. And no matter how carefully I spoke, I would bring up her pain. So I decided to be direct. I cleared my throat. "Miss Wang, I'm sorry to make you remember something you'd rather forget." "I truly am." She gave a bitter smile and shook her head. "It's fine. Go ahead." I paused, then said, "Miss Wang, we're both educated people. Jockey's death was so sudden, I need to understand why. As his best friend, I have to ask what happened before he died." Her eyes reddened. She sat motionless, so pale she looked like a marble statue. After a long silence, she said, "That night, after the guests left the wedding room, it was around 5 in the morning. He seemed fine, still full of energy." She stopped, and I understood her pain. Asking her to describe her wedding night after such a tragedy felt cruel. "You can just tell me what happened right before he died," I said gently. She lowered her head. After another pause, she continued, "It happened so suddenly. It was almost dawn, and I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open. Jockey was still talking to me, saying something." She paused again, letting out a long sigh. I didn't rush her, just waited. After a while, she said, "In my hazy state, I think I heard a rooster crow. I knew dawn was near, and I just wanted to sleep longer. I was exhausted. But I didn't fall asleep, because Jockey suddenly let out a sharp scream. At that point, a look of pure horror crossed Miss Wang's pale face. She continued, I was jolted awake by his scream. I wanted to scold him, but she stood, her hands waving weakly, likely overwhelmed by the memory. Her body swayed as if she might fall. Her voice became choked. I looked at him. He was screaming, holding his chest. His eyes looked like they would pop out of their sockets. He was gasping for air. She gave a bitter laugh. His screams woke others. A few servants rushed in, but his appearance terrified them, and they backed out. He couldn't stand steadily, fell to the floor, and he died. I stayed silent for a moment. Miss Wang, Did he say anything before he died? She nodded. Yes. He said, "So it's true," twice. She looked up at me. Mr. Wei, you're his best friend. What did he mean by "so it's true"? What was true? The full story was too long to tell, and I had no intention of sharing the truth with anyone, including Miss Wang. So I said, "I don't know. Maybe he didn't believe he had a heart condition until that moment." She didn't respond, just lowered her head, sobbing quietly. My heart ached for her. If Bashu was a victim, Miss Wang's suffering was even greater. I stood silently, moved to her side, and stayed for a while. Then I said, "I'm so sorry. I can't offer you any comfort, but please believe I deeply sympathize. Thank you for seeing me. It's time for me to go." She stood politely. "Thank you for visiting." I left. My meeting with Miss Wang didn't give me much new information. If anything, it confirmed that Jockey's screams began at the moment of the first rooster's crow. That was the exact moment I was with Bashu, when she cried and said Jockey had met his end. T proved one thing. Bashu had seen his death coming and she caused it. Of course, she wouldn't admit it. In her view, Jockey killed himself. If he hadn't betrayed her, he'd still be alive and healthy. Why would a change of heart lead to sudden death? Why? I had to solve this mystery. My determination to find Bashu where Jockey met her grew stronger. I needed to confront that Meow clan with their strange powers, discover the source of their abilities, and determine if science could explain it. It was something I had to do.